tiny slices of the company, and they had little influence or knowledge that can contribute to major decisions. So people hoarded information. Knowing something nobody else did gave you power and was the quickest way to get access to higher-ups and advance your career. What data you did possess was difficult to quickly disseminate and was usually reserved for the higher-ups' ears only. As a result, only people with formal authority, the CEO and other C-level actors, had enough context to make decisions. Today, it would be laughable for someone to stay at the same company their entire career. Junior employees provide input on strategic decisions all the time. You'd be hard-pressed to find a company where a CEO knows more about what's happening on the ground than her frontline employees. And if a company treats its employees like cogs in a machine, you'd better believe people will find out fast. Second, the internet drastically changed the power dynamic between companies and their customers. Just as it was hard for information to spread within a company, there were no channels like Yelp where customers treated badly could share their stories. So companies could strong-arm buyers into deals with bad terms and use interruptive sales and marketing tactics without fear of backlash. Before information was so readily available online, buyers also had to rely 100% on what sellers said about their products. There were no places that aggregated product information or customer feedback, so buyers either had to rely on their personal networks for recommendations or take companies at their word. Today, there are thousands of review aggregation sites, companies are extremely transparent about their pricing, and every company has a features listing webpage. There's no room for the old way of doing things anymore. Information within and among companies is ubiquitous. People demand far more from their employers and vendors because they can, and that's better for everyone. When knowledge is concentrated in the hands of a small group of people, and nothing forces those with power to take care of those without, things get worse. When the same people call all the shots, companies can quickly fall into a rut because they lack diversity of thought. When the market doesn't punish companies for not treating their employees and customers well, they have no financial incentive to do so. We used to live in an outbound world. Players who traditionally held power in information, employers, vendors, bosses, could pretty much dictate the terms of their relationships with their constituents, but that's not the case anymore. Today, we are living in an inbound world. People only give their time, money, and attention to institutions and people that delight them. Inbound marketing, sales, and customer success is just part of that equation. It's how organizations should talk to their marketplace. Within an organization, inbound is just as important. As Dan and Todd write in this book, to do inbound, you have to be inbound. That means treating your employees like the valuable contributors they are, not seat fillers who are expendable. That means inverting the pyramid of power so your frontline employees who have the best information on how your prospects and customers behave can tell their managers and their managers' managers what they're seeing and how it should affect your company's future. At HubSpot, that also means openly sharing information about our market and our business so everyone from our president to a new hire can make good decisions. That means asking our customers and partners for feedback and actually listening to it so we can get better and avoid being blindsided by irrelevance. The companies that keep their employees in the dark, pummel their prospects into buying, and squeeze every last drop of value from their customers without giving anything in return simply can't compete. There's nowhere to hide. The Clue Train Manifesto guys knew all this way back in 2000, and 18 years later, the marketplace is just starting to catch up. For example, when we first started HubSpot, we didn't have a formal organizational chart, and I was adamant about never having one. We sat down one day to draw a shadow organizational chart that mapped influence, and we found that some of the most influential people weren't formally imbued with a great deal of power. That's how we believe it should be. Influence and power aren't reserved for those who sit at the top of a formal hierarchy. In 2007, though, our employees weren't ready for such a radical shift. An organization without job titles or chains of command you could track on paper. So we created a job title structure and an organizational chart. The social pressures associated with explaining to your Uncle Ted what you do for a living when you go home for the holidays have not gone away entirely, and certainly existed in full force when we founded the company almost 12 years ago. So we came up with other ways to ensure frontline employees are empowered. We have an internal wiki where all our financials, slides from executive team meetings, details on new initiatives, and postmortems of experiments are published for the whole company to see. We created a culture code very early on so we could be very deliberate about the kind of workplace we want it to be. We